This short screencast shows you how to access the extranet site for Institutes of Technology of Ireland. The screencast specifically demonstrates how to access the section of the IOTI extranet relating to the National Student Survey project. But the same procedure should be followed if you wish to access other elements of the IOTI extranet. Please be advised at this early stage though that all elements of the site are restricted to by invitation only, with invitations issued solely through IOTI. The short screencast is divided up into 5 distinct sections. Introducing SharePoint, which is the software on which the site is built, a general introduction on accessing a SharePoint site, the invitation you will get, and then how to take up that invitation, and indeed the structure of the extranet itself. SharePoint is a piece of software that allows you to create websites. For the purpose of this screencast, we'll identify 3 different types of websites: the intranet, the extranet, and the intranet. The distinction being that an intranet site is available to everybody. An extranet is available to specific people who you give access to either inside or outside your organization. An intranet is accessible to people only within your organization. Based on that definition, we're discussing access to the project extranet facility. The site represented by the red box can have multiple layers or subsites and individual pages, each of these subsets represented by the yellow and the green and the blue sections. SharePoint is a particularly good piece of software for building websites as it allows you to build sites with varying degrees of access. For example, in this diagram, we can restrict a person's viewing only to one section of the site, represented here by the yellow boxes. A person can be allowed to see one or more sections. Again, in this example, they may be able to see the red and the yellow sections, but not the green. Furthermore, you can restrict a person to see they only see certain parts of the site, represented in this diagram here by the yellow boxes. They just get to see one specific layer of information. The decision of who has access to what is 100% up to the site owner. You can also issue different levels of access within a page or within a section. For example, we have 3 different people here who have access to this section of the website, the yellow section. However, these people have different access rights. The visitor can only read the content of the pages. The member can edit the content, and the owner can edit the pages but can also invite more people to join the site, either as owners, members, or visitors. This is what distinguishes SharePoint from most standard website platforms. Okay, so now you know what SharePoint is. How do we access it? In order to create a SharePoint website, you must have a SharePoint license. However, a SharePoint site, if the owner wishes, is available to everybody with access to the internet. Each of the individual people who access your site do not have to have a SharePoint license. That said, in order for somebody to access a Microsoft SharePoint site, Microsoft must recognize your email address. So you must essentially link or associate your existing email address with Microsoft. This is very easily done and will not have any effect on your existing email account, whether it's work or personal. In order to associate your email address with Microsoft, you must enter the following URL. You will then be asked, do you have an email address? And if you have, do you want to associate it with a live site? And you click yes. This brings up the following page where you're asked to fill in your existing email address and put in a password of your choice. The security question is required in case you forget your password at a later stage. Once this step is complete, I would advise you to check that the setup has worked by entering in the following web address: mail.live.com. And this will allow you to check that you have access to a Microsoft account using your existing email. Once everything checks out, you are now ready to access the SharePoint extranet site. I mentioned before that the site is restricted to specific people. The site owner issues an invite via email. Here's an example of an email that I distributed to. There are three distinct parts to this invite. The first is who it came from. And be warned that sometimes spam filters can block these accounts, so if you were expecting an invite and it didn't arrive, please check your spam folder first. The second is a free text box where site owners can type in the personal message that they want to send to the invitee. And third, and most importantly, the button that a person clicks to access the site. Once the person clicks on the accept button, you're greeted with the following. Welcome to SharePoint Online. You have two options. Click on the Hotmail button and type in your email and password that you have associated with your Microsoft account as we described earlier. Once your credentials are accepted, you will have access to the site. The Project Extranet site is very clearly laid out. The various subgroups are available across the top menu bar. As you will see here, the plenary group homepage is highlighted. That's to indicate that is the page that we are currently on. The left-hand side of the screen provides links to the various sections of the site, whether we are talking about meetings, the calendars, documents, or indeed a discussion forum. Hopefully you found this short screencast useful, and I look forward to working with you in the future.